Trump is ready to start a global trade war in 2 days. April 2nd is coming, which Trump is dubbing the Liberation Day. And basically, sum it up, tariffs will, that's a quote, start with all countries. There's a bit more detail in that NBC News article that I'm currently sharing on screen. But basically, President Donald Trump said on Sunday that reciprocal tariffs he is set to announce this week will include all nations, not just a smaller group of 10 to 15 countries with the biggest trade imbalances, which seem to have been the initial or like the corrected thinking. And we reported on that last week. We said the market got more used to tariffs, got used that it's not an all-out tariff or trade war that is coming, but definitely Trump's rhetoric on that has gotten more aggressive over the weekend, which is something that, or even leading into the end of last week, which is something that the stock markets did not like at all. S&P 500 is down. We reported that Asian stock markets were down as well as a result of that. Obviously has had a massive impact on crypto prices as well. You reported at the start of the show, everything has been sliding lower. BTC went as low as 81.5K. ETH even went under 1.8K. However, on the other side of things, gold is still going up. So that's that. Then on Friday, we also have said that we were waiting for core inflation data to come out of the US. We do have that PCE data now, and it's a bit higher than expected. So core inflation in February hits 2.8%. Spending increases 0.4%. We expected that to come out a bit lower, 2.7 for the inflation rate. Again, that is higher. That is a bit concerning. And 0.3 for the spending increases. So both numbers didn't come out as positively as we expected them to come out, which certainly also had an impact on the market. Now, if we take a final look at Polymarket to see what the impact of this is, and we can see it pretty strongly here that when March was March 11th, so at the start of March 2 weeks ago, markets were thinking there is a good chance, 52%, that we're going to see a decrease in rates, 25 bips in May, when it's time for the Fed to look at that decision again. And basically now we are 82% certain that we are not going to see a change, so that the first decrease, the first rate cut of 25 bips is now moving more towards June. But even in June, it's not a very certain outlook. It's a 58% chance, that is on the market with $2 million of volume, that there's going to be a rate cut. And finally, another Polymarket stat that I like to look into is the US recession fear, more so to get another fear indicator, because obviously we have the fear and greed index, which also is now sliding more towards the fear side. And I like this poll specifically, not because I think that is necessarily the best representation of will there be a recession or not, but just to get another fear indicator. And we kind of said it that we had reached levels above 40%, a 44% chance mid-March, but situation has started to look better, went as low as 32 cents, so a 32% chance of an inflation, of a recession to hit the US. But recently, over the last couple of days, this chance is up massively, up 19% to 38%. So we are nearing, quote unquote, all-time highs for recession fears on Polymarket as well. So to sum it up, we went from having a bit more certainty with tariffs to now fearing that Liberation Day, April 2nd, will bring the start of an all-out tariff war. And on top of that, inflation data looked a bit worse than we expected, which ultimately led to both some pressure on the stock markets as well as crypto prices plummeting.
And on top of that, we had a few other rumblings from Trump, which were around Russia and Putin, like explicitly coming out, being annoyed and saying that, no, I'm actually annoyed. Because, for a lot of times he's kind of either accused of being too friendly with him or presenting himself as being friendly with him, so as a good thing, because they're, suggesting that he might be able to figure things out. I think for the first time, he's been quite outwardly and publicly negative on that situation. So there's that escalation, I think, or at least a verbal escalation. You also had the thing, I don't know the validity of this, but
the
third term headline, where he's kind of suggesting that I think in the States, you are literally only allowed to be president for 2 terms. And he started suggesting that maybe there's a way around, and if things can be done to to get a 3rd term, which is incredibly disruptive for people's perception of the states. I think if you're literally going to throw out the complete rule book, and
Yeah, the
start.
way he talked about that was, I feel like maybe that came across as concerning, because he basically said there's like 3 ways. Obviously, way one is, you need to change the constitution, and you would also need the approval of 75% of the states to like change the law and allow for more than 2 terms. Way two would be vice president in the next run, and then step up for whatever reason and take over as a president. And then exactly what you have said. And there's also another way, which he did not comment on what that way would be.